All right, as promised, we are now joined by Joe Boschulte, the Commissioner for the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. Joe, great to have you in studio today. Always nice to talk with you.
Good morning. Thank you. I always enjoy coming in. I picked a very beautiful day to come in. Kind of reminds me of St. Thomas right now when I look at this beautiful sun out there, except it's probably 25 degrees cooler.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about how things are going for you this year. I know that you had just a huge year down in the Virgin Islands last year. When you talk about kind of looking backwards, what do you attribute, all that growth to that you saw in 2024?
Yeah, I think one of the things that happened out of COVID is people, and I'm speaking generally, appreciate the value of taking time off.
Sure.
So I think before COVID, everybody's grind. Mm-hmm. And then we had, the complete opposite where there was nothing. And then I think people started to recognize that, it is okay to have a balance.
Sure.
So what we found is that, people continue to take 2 or 3 trips a year. One, works out a lot of times for us, to people who travel in the Caribbean, they still come to the Caribbean. And for us in the U.S. Virgin Islands, like you mentioned, we have many of our visitors come back. Sometimes they come back with friends. Sometimes they come back with their parents and kids. Sometimes they come back solo. So that's been really helping us. I think the other part that has been a blessing for us has been the strength of the U.S. economy.
Sure.
Last year was a strong year. The last few years, as a matter of fact, have been strong. So our travel is predominantly from the U.S., and that makes a difference. So when the U.S. Is doing well, we do well. Of course, as we look forward, this season was very strong for us, 24 into 25. We're sort of moving into the shoulder season. But April was stronger than last April, and a lot of that had to do with Easter was late, Passover was the same week. So that helped in terms of when kids and families were traveling. Now as we move into summer, we continue to monitor closely all of the travel news. Fortunately for us, we don't have a big international base that travels to us, so a lot of the noise and dark clouds with travelers coming internationally into the United States, continental United States, is not as severe for us, simply because, one, we don't have a big international travel base, and two, our travelers are predominantly leisure guests, so it's not conference travelers that may come in. Like Boston is a big convention town. People come from all over. We don't have that dynamic.
When you talk about that tourism travel that you get coming in, I saw recently that a couple of your beaches, Trunk Bay in St. John and Magens Bay in St. Thomas, were named among the 10 best beaches in the Caribbean. Does stuff like that help to get people coming to your islands?
Yeah, without question. I think we've done a couple brand studies on the destination and USVI in a whole. And one thing that continues to hold strong is that people come for the beaches. They go to the Caribbean for the beaches. They go for the water. And anytime you can have third-party international recognition on your beaches, that definitely helps. Trunk Bay was number 1 last year in a big publication. This year, it's in the top 10. We had 2 beaches in the top 10. That makes a difference. And I think it makes a difference in the sense that what we like to tell people at the beaches, of course, when you have big beaches that gain international prominence, of course they're more crowded, but I tell people that we have beaches that are less crowded and almost more ancient in the sense that there's you may not have beach chairs, or you may not have a concession, but guess what, you have like purely back to nature. It's you, the water, and the sand, and all of the animal life that's around.
One of the things that I see is we get different quarterly earnings reports coming through. The cruise companies seem like they are just booked left to right. Just they're absolutely jammed with people still trying to go on cruises. Like I keep hearing like they're booked out the next couple of years. What are you seeing in terms of cruise visitors to your islands, and is that something that you're trying to encourage in terms of more cruises coming through?
Yeah, definitely. For us in the U.S. Virgin Islands, cruise is the backbone of our tourism product. So we've been a strong, St. Thomas especially has been a very strong anchor destination on Eastern Caribbean cruises. We continue to be very strong. We were number 2 in spend on cruises last year in the Caribbean, behind Panama, which was kind of asterisk because they home port, so they gave them a little jump over us. But if you look at straight destination shopping and spend, we're at the top. Of course, it does make a difference in terms of our economy, right? Many of the grassroots working population service the cruise industry, whether that's ground transportation, retail, of course, the excursion community, all benefit from the traffic of the cruise passenger. And then lastly, for our destination, 30 to 40% of the people that come on a cruise actually come back. So they come in.
Oh, interesting.
They get to see the island. They get a feel. They're there for 5 or 6 hours, and they're like, "Oh, I got to come back. I just enjoyed St. John or St. Thomas or St. Croix," and they come back. So we value that on a lot of different fronts. And like you mentioned, the cruise is very, very strong. We were just at the big international global sea trade conference early this month in Miami. I mean, there was just the amount of people and booths and the amount of money people are investing in showcasing their destinations lets you know that the sign is very, very good for the cruise industry.
Sure. Joe, one of the big topics that we've been covering on our show the last few weeks is obviously tariffs that have been imposed. I know that the Virgin Islands are exempt from any of the tariffs being, U.S. territory. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And are you seeing any impact on your business in either direction as a result?
Well, what I could tell you is we are exempt, and I think when you have disruption and uncertainty, depending on your mindset, it creates potential opportunity. So
sure.
I don't know if the territory was necessarily leveraging that particular exemption, but when you had all of this noise around tariff and Chinese-built cargo ships and $1 million ship, then all of a sudden now it becomes time to focus on what you do have, right? Because, all of a sudden the playing field may have been unleveled, then it kind of was leveled. Now it's unleveled in our favor in terms of what can happen, not just in the USVI, but St. Thomas and St. Croix can prove to be a nice stopping zone for shipping companies to the rest of the Caribbean, particularly with that tariff piece that's in place. So that worked well. I know our delegate and our governor worked closely with CARICOM and CTO and some of the other organizations to meet with the White House and the U.S. Congress to ensure that this exemption held. And it came out last week that it does. I think at a minimum, it should prevent from mass departures of these types of cargo ships coming in, because at least now you don't have $1 million that was thrown out on some of these trailers, these cargo ships that were coming in with the trailers. It was like 3,000 or 6,000 for 20 and 40 foot, each one coming in. And now all of a sudden that is clearer now, and you don't have that. I think that should help us avoid seeing a major change in our cargo business coming in and out.
The St. Thomas Carnival is next week, I believe it starts. Right. And I know that there's obviously a ton that goes into that and a ton of entertainment that's there. If someone out there is, hey, someone wants to get away for, a last-minute trip, you guys still got space? You still got availability?
We still have space and availability. It's pretty crowded and getting full. But, I was debating, I fly home on Friday from JFK, and I got some meetings in New York tomorrow, and I was debating whether I was going to just fly from here on JetBlue down nonstop. And there were a couple seats left on the flight, so there is ways to get in. Next week, I'm sure it's going to be pretty crowded. But we are doing really, really well. We have lots of nonstop lift into the territory. The New England area has been very, very good to us. Matter of fact, Delta Airlines will start flying nonstop from Logan to St. Thomas in December, which was a big win for us and a big win for people in the area to have a second option flying out of Logan to the Virgin Islands. And, we continue to push, our relationships in the Boston area, continue to strengthen ours with the financial exchange. We have a relationship with the Red Sox, and we also do a strategic partner with the FM Championship, the golf tournament that happens in August at TBC Boston. So we are invested in the area. We enjoy when the Boston and the New England people come into the territory. We want to make sure that we treat you like family. And we had a special highlight last week. The JetBlue Red Sox jet was in town, and of course that had people chomping at the bit talking about the Red Sox jet, which was in town.
Definitely. Joe, appreciate you coming in to chat with us. Always good to see you, and hope that you have a great rest of the spring and a good start to the summer.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and be back soon.
That is Joe Boschulte, the Commissioner of the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism.